For the last 3 or 4 years, every Wednesday when I come home from the office and I open the front door, I will say as loud as I can, I'll yell out, "Guess what tonight is?" And it's one of my favorite moments because I hear my kids, wherever they are in the house, they'll yell back and they'll say, "It's movie night." And it's one of our traditions where we just curl up with our snacks in front of our TV and we watch a movie together on Wednesday nights. And what's funny is that often the kids will say during the week, "Well, can we have movie night again?" And Tanner and I will say, no, let's find other things that are creative that we can do together. It's funny how in the last month and a half since we've been self-quarantined and practicing social distancing and all been at home together, how our standards have changed. It feels like every night is movie night now. Tanner and I, at a certain hour, we look at our watches and we say, "Oh my gosh, what are we going to do with the kids for the rest of the day?" I feel like we've used all of our skills and all of our tools, entertaining them and playing with them and doing this stuff. What do we do? And we're like, movie night? And so it's funny how our standards change based on our situations. We find ourselves in different circumstances and the things that we just didn't imagine we would do or practice or the way we would think. We find ourselves in those places. So another example of this is how for the longest time, one of the biggest criticisms of smartphones or electronic devices is that they are perpetuating an antisocial generation. And yet now, during this COVID-19 stuff, we look at these devices and we say they're actually the only reason that we're remaining connected to one another. And so it's just fascinating how our situations change the way we view things or the way we understand ourselves. Now, one of the biggest changes that's happened in all of our lives and in all of our contexts in the last month and a half or 2 months since we've been self-quarantining is that we've all had to live with less. It's like our entire world has adapted to a completely new threshold of contentment. Whereas our cultures and our societies in this fast-paced world are constantly bombarding us with this message that we won't be happy or satisfied or content unless we have more, that more is more. What I found to be true in my own life is that as I've had to make peace with fewer things, with simpler things, I found that I'm actually less restless and more at peace and more content. And this has been one of the biggest gifts. If you had asked me a couple of months ago what I think about being stuck at home for months on end, I would have told you I don't think I have the ability to do that. I get so restless. And yet now I've learned something new about myself. It's like what I understand to be true, how I see things has changed because of my circumstances. And I was talking to someone recently about this whole thing, and I was saying, one of the things that I really cherish now and I want to hold on to, especially when things go back to normal, whenever that is I'd love to hold on to this contentment that I have with the simpler things. All I have that I need is right here. I really don't need more. And so what I want to offer us today as our meditation or reflection for the week is this beautiful poem by the late Irish priest and poet John O'Donohue. It comes from a book called To Bless the Space Between Us, a book of blessings, and this particular poem is called For One Who Is Exhausted, a Blessing. I've set it to some images. It's Tannery who is reading the poem, and I just offer this to you as a blessing. And I hope that it puts words to something that you have experienced to be true, is as we step away from all of the busyness, there is beauty that is rising up from the ashes. God bless you, St. John's.
For One Who Is Exhausted, a Blessing by John O'Donohue. When the rhythm of the heart becomes hectic, time takes on the strain until it breaks. Then all the unattended stress falls in on the mind like an endless, increasing weight. The light in the mind becomes dim. Things you could take in your stride before now become laborsome events of will. Weariness invades your spirit. Gravity begins falling inside you, dragging down every bone. The tide you never valued has gone out, and you are marooned on unsure ground. Something within you has closed down, and you cannot push yourself back to life. You have been forced to enter empty time. The desire that drove you has relinquished. There is nothing else to do now but rest and patiently learn to receive the self you have forsaken in the race of days. At first, your thinking will darken and sadness take over like listless weather. The flow of unwept tears will frighten you. You have traveled too fast over false ground. Now your soul has come to take you back. Take refuge in your senses. Open up to all the small miracles you rushed through. Become inclined to watch the way of rain when it falls slow and free. Imitate the habit of twilight, taking time to open the well of color that fostered the brightness of day. Draw alongside the silence of stone until its calmness can claim you. Be excessively gentle with yourself. Stay clear of those vexed in spirit. Learn to linger around someone of ease who feels they have all the time in the world. Gradually, you will return to yourself, having learned a new respect for your heart and the joy that dwells far within slow time.